do share your interaction and your inputs whenever possible. So before we go ahead and start talking about VUCA in the time of the leadership in the time of VUCA, I would like to understand from a few of you, what is it that the first thought that comes to your mind when you hear the term VUCA? Anyone? If you can put it on the chat box, I think Sanjana will take care of it. I can see some chats flowing in for sure. Sanjana, you want to collate it and tell me what is it that's coming up?
So, ma'am, the first thing that participants have written about is uncertainties in this environment, chaos, there is
Yeah.
volatility.
Okay. So you guys have done enough searches and made some search engines and the affiliates very, very rich. Thank you for that. But tell me, what's the emotion that comes to your head when you hear this word, VUCA? Let's make it a little more stronger. What's the emotion that floats into your mind? Anything that floats to your mind? Positive, negative. What is it that you feel when you hear this term VUCA?
Well,
Yeah, I
So,
see a lot of chats. Yeah.
ma'am, there is a responsibility, expectations, anxiety and confusion, unavoidability. So,
Okay.
there's a factor of chance.
Okay, cool, cool. And thank you so much, guys, for actually putting in your thoughts. Actually, that's something that with what you generally associate with this term is something which is non-positive. So why do I have this slide in front of me, which is talking all about people cheering and jeering and saying that okay, we are successful, as the first slide when we should be talking about everything. About the situation which is going to give you anxiety and emotions which are not so nice. you know you can say that I am an optimistic. I'll take it on me. I am guilty as charged. However, I can go behind myself and behind and say that I am a realist more than an optimist. However, why have I put it this slide is primarily this is the ultimate dream of a team. Forget about a leader. This is the ultimate dream of a team. What should the entire outcome consequence look like? I know this to you at this point of time looks like success. This is more of happiness. This is more of cheer. This is more of the time when wine glasses get passed around at achievement of a certain milestone. And this is exactly what most of us are gunning through. Now, how many of you have gone ahead and have any kind of experience in a marketing environment or a sales environment? Any one of you? Any one of you who has any kind of background of experience? None? All of you are freshers? Very good. Then I have every right to say anything, and you will believe it that this happens in business. Nonetheless, I'll take ahead and move to what I am going to speak about. I'm going to speak about real business case scenario, guys. I'm not going to give you the descriptions of VUCA. I'm sure, as I said, you guys have made enough search engines rich on doing that, and you guys are intelligent enough to collate those information at your end and figure out. So what I'm going to showcase here is a picture of my team. This is half of my team. In fact, this was taken a day before Diwali last year, and a few of us had turned up to the office, and this is what half of my team looks like. Now, when I look at this picture, again, you see 10 odd people standing here. I have had a team size of 25 people. And along with that, we have marketeers, we have in-store designers, we have BI analytics people, we have CRM people, and this is how the team looks like, 25 of them. Now, when I say 25 people, I look at 25 fertile different brains. I look at 25 adult brains which are actively functioning in various directions. They are thinking on their own. Now, add to this, there are 25 people, and each of them handle at any given point of time 2 to 5 major projects. 2 to 5 major projects per project entail somewhere close to about 100 odd activities. Now, you do the math. I'm sure you guys are very adept at it, and you do the math and tell me how many potent combinations are there for them to get it right and get it wrong as well. 25 people, 2 to 5 projects, at least 100 activities. And that's not all. Look at the environment that they function in, we function in. We are in a retail space, not only physical, we are in a digital space. We have our own e-com platform, we operate in marketplaces. Now, figure this out, there are 400 stores. 400 stores at any given point of time. Anything can go wrong at the cash till, at the floor, at the pricing, at the section where the consumer is moving around. Think about this: how many different kind of combinations are there where you can go uncertain. I was in a store once, and I remember me and my boss were standing, and there was this kid who was rolling on the floor, crying his heart out, and we didn't know what to do because his parents were not giving him enough attention. Of course, they were parents; they know how to deal with him, but it was creating anxiety on the floor. It was creating a disturbance to the other customers. So these are situations. These are situations which are absolutely uncertain, and it changes every second. In fact, it changes multiple times every second. And this team is absolutely geared up to uh, to be able to know that these situations will come. Are they geared up 100% of the time to handle this situation? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What we believe in is, we believe in creating few of our activities as muscle memories. There are few of the activities which will go without saying as a fluid work. That has to be handled like a muscle memory. It cannot be handled with, you're learning every day something new from the scratch and implementing it. Some of that is muscle memory, some of them has to be creative. And how does creativity happen? How does creativity on step will happen? It happens because you give individuals the due training, the due decision making abilities and powers, and the due responsibility, and reward and recognize them at the end of it. However big these terms and might sound, this is the reality. I'm sure most of you will go out into the real world very soon, and this is going to happen to all of you. Some of the things you will get trained on, and some of the things you will have to think on what you have been trained on. That's going to divide your work. Some of them will be muscle memory, some of them will be creativity. Yeah. Before I go further, I definitely would want to share, as I promised you, I'm going to share business case with you live, and I'm going to share what happens live in situations in businesses, rather than telling you the any of the any of the theoretical part of what VUCA means. As I asked earlier, none of you have any kind of experience. Is it a yes or a no? The same question is getting asked again. Any kind of experience with anyone, anybody. I'm not going to ask you any questions, and there are no rewards, and there are no brick bats also. So there is an answer I see floating. Sanjana, if you can help me with that.
Yes, ma'am. So there's this one individual who says he has an experience of 1 year, and there are people who also admitted that they have no experience in this year.
Okay.
Then
Thank
we
you.
have
I
a
caught you guys.
participant who has 6 years of experience.
Fantastic. I caught you guys. Now all the questions will be directed towards you. I figured out the names. So let's see before we go any further. And there are questions coming up. Guys with experience, please do answer, because I think you have an edge over the others. The others, don't worry, they don't have an edge that is going to be any different from the answers that you would have thought. Yeah. Before I go any further, a little bit of an entertainment for you guys, and then I will take it ahead as to what I'm trying to put as a business case here. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Let me know, Sanjana, Sankalp, if the sound is still working okay. Yeah. So here's a little bit of an output on a campaign that we worked on. And I want you to see this campaign before I start speaking about it. So tell me, guys, how many of you had seen this or know about this brand Buffalo? How many of you know about this brand Buffalo? Guys, don't tell me you don't shop. We are a 6,000 crore brand. So a few of us definitely, a few of you definitely shop with us. Yeah? Falgun has raised his hand saying that he knows it. Okay. Sanjana, I hope I have had some customers that I am seeing.
Yes, yes, ma'am. A lot of people are coming up and admitting that they have shopped in of the brand and they've heard of it. It's pretty popular from the responses that I'm getting in the chat.
So 2000, way back in 2016, I am wanting to start this conversation because this was the time when Buffalo actually was looking for what we were looking to actually completely revamping this brand and bringing a face to this brand and bringing it as one of the strongest brands in the explore wear denim category. We had Varun with us. Varun Dhawan is absolutely a known actor, and I'm sure most of you would be looking forward to 25th. Now, this a plug-in for Varun for the movie that is getting released, Coolie Number One. So, Varun has been associated with us in the past 5 years, and we thought that we'll move him from the FBB brand ambassador to being the face of Buffalo. Now, when we started with this campaign, now questions comes to the guys with the marketing experience. What is a general way of looking at a business campaign or a marketing campaign, as one would put? What is the first point? And any questions are okay. Any answers are okay. As I said, there are no prizes, there are no big bets. Anything. What do you think is the basis of a campaign or a business campaign or a marketing campaign? There are answers floating in Sanjana. I can see that.
Yes, ma'am. So people are talking about the target market and who we want to address the campaign to.
Okay, perfect. Any more?
Ma'am, the responses are generally in this
Okay,
vein.
cool. Perfect. Thank you, Sanjana, for summarizing it. Yes, you're right. Absolutely. The target customer, who you want to speak with, who what you want to speak with. And of course, in black and white, that's a major point of the business objective. What does the business want to achieve? Is it a brand building activity, or there is a major target on it? On this, it was two pronged. What we got as an objective was very clear that we had to increase the business of Buffalo. Retail operates on a week on week target. So if this week we are at certain, then next week it has to be a target of X multiplied by 30% or whatever. So on Buffalo campaign, we knew that for us, when we have to go live with this campaign, our business objective week on week had to move by 35%, and after a certain period of time had to come and plateau at 20%. That's the way you basically look at a long term and a short term objective of a business campaign. On this campaign, and I'm going to talk about how what happened and how we went ahead and actually faced a real life scene with this campaign. Most of you, when you come to the real world working, the one with experience already know that these are small things which actually blow up and have a huge impact. It's not only a huge impact like a COVID situation which changes the business phase. These are small things also which changes, which have an impact on business. Now coming to what we thought and how we went ahead and with this campaign. In fact, when we started moving ahead with this campaign, the first thing which happens for every marketing, generally with every marketing campaign, is you get an idea, you get it approved. There are people who will come on board, like a production house, like a director. Of course, the face is already there. Then there is the brand, who's the client side, as we say, who spends the money. The good money is ours because the target is also ours, the business is ours. Now, in this situation, what we realized, and what we knew, that this is going to be a huge campaign and this is going to be a multi-crore investment, the multi-crore investment with a multiple 100 crore of business riding on it. When we are working at such a big level and such a huge business objective, there are going to be a lot of milestones. There are a lot of activities. I had two of my best marketing, the brand managers who look after Buffalo were one of the best in my team. And in fact, they, as I already mentioned, they were the ones with trained muscle memory, and they were the ones who were thought to be known to be creative on their foot. Now, in a general campaign, what we do, we all gather together, have a pre-production meeting, as we know, as we say it, and then we move towards the production. The content is shot, and then finally you go ahead and go with the campaign. After the post-production is done, you go ahead with the campaign live. Now, what you saw as a 30-second TVC ad, how many hours do you think we would have put shooting the content on it? Any answers? How many hours would we have shot the content? Any answers? Anything? Guys, this is a fun question. I see around 7, 8 answers still already floating in. Yes, Sanjana,
Yes,
you want to
yes.
take it? Yeah.
So it starts with 50. One person says 5, then there's 100, 10, 30 hours, 12 hours, 30 hours, 120 hours.
Oh, 120 hours. I'm going to get hanged for that. But nonetheless, guys, thank you for participating. And trust me, it's a very good, very good. These are very good melange of answers which has come in. So we shot straight for 2 days for that 30-second video. And there is a lot of other content that we shot. Of course, the pictures that you see on board also is part of those 2 days of course. What happens in the general scenario is when you have a campaign this big and size with such business targets and also such mammoth investment getting on it, you basically work on a military precision. इतने घंटे का काम ये. So these are the best, or two of my best in my team, who are basically working with a military precision. We generally have one pre-production meeting. We had three in this case. We had three pre-production meetings. So basically closing everything that we could close on. We got Varun on board. He got excited. He had some digital inputs to be shared. He wanted to shoot some extra digital content so that he could put it on his handles. And we were absolutely working with military precision. We were shooting this in a very remote area in Thailand. And then that's again another question to be answered: why Thailand? Why not India? It's cheaper to shoot in Thailand than in India. If anybody wants to work on the marketing or the advertising side, they should know this. There is a crew of 50 people in a remote island of Krabi shooting this. A day before the shoot happens, we have all gone through our pre-discussion recce. We have all gone through the pre-production meeting. All of us land up in Krabi a day earlier. We go through the entire schedule for the next 2 days, point by point by point. We meet Varun that night when we had to shoot the day next. We had to shoot say around 3 o'clock in the morning. We had to start the shoot. The call time was that, and we met him at around 10 o'clock in the night for everything to run past him. Um, while we were with him, the director had added something, a different scenario, a different scene altogether 2 days earlier, and we had reworked on that also 2 days earlier. But suddenly the director announces 5 hours before the shoot is going to commence that he's going to require 3 hours extra. Now, it might look to you 3 hours is a very simple language, in simple terms, saying that, okay, 3 hours extra. 3 hours extra means 3 hours of extra production cost. 3 hours extra means 3 hours of extra production cost, labor cost. Forget about production cost and labor cost that might still get absorbed. 3 hours of extra cost from Varun. Now, the talent cost is one of the biggest cost in a campaign, um, that you have already made. And when you put a business objective to a campaign, you take the cost towards it and you calculate your margins towards the same. So basically, when I'm asking for 3 hours, it's looking like it's going into a few crores. The final extra cost is going to a few crores. And 5 hours before the go live, this is not a surprise that any one of us, any one of the business people is ready for. Not only that, we're asking for 3 hours from the talent who's going to wake up in the next 4 hours, have a sleep of next 4 hours, and still look prettified. And forget about the other things. Then that how the weather will perform. There were rumors that there are going to be rains. Rains means the shoot will stop, and these are all going to add cost. It might look like, oh, aisa ho gaya, but these are all costs. These are all costs which are getting added, and cost getting added is margins ebbing away slowly. And at this time, there is about nothing we can do about this situation apart from actually doing something that we have been taught. as to some amount give and some amount of take. Now, what does one do? I can scream at my team, I can scream at the production house, we can all get worried about it. Of course, there are finger pointing that why we would not know that this is going to entail such a cost is going to hit us when it has all been planned. Why would someone in the team realize this 5 hours before the go live is going to happen? But these are situations wherein your muscle memory power actually builds you up to finally be creative. And what is the bigger objective that you see? The bigger objective in this entire situation is to basically look at the final business objective. मेरा final objective क्या है? As I said, if someone of you remember, it was 35% of week on week sale, and then finally 20% of a long term sale. That's my final business objective. My dream TVC is in my head, in the director's head. How does it matter if 70% of the dream is met, but I achieve 100% of my business objective? I don't care. So this was the give and take that your muscle memory teaches you to be and finally take a call. We shot all the content that we required. We definitely compromised on a few, took the chances. A condition which just went volatile within an hour, an uncertainty and an ambiguous situation wherein I don't know what the final output will be looking like, because there is a MIF director moving around in the sets who has all the control on creativity. And absolutely, it's going to be an uncertain situation. It's a complex situation with so many people moving around and have their own head. So these might look like situation wherein you have everything under control, but these are business, real life business situations. If you can say that it's a creative situation, but it has such a huge impact on the business that you're looking at. So at the end of the day, the larger goals come into picture, and that's how you take a decision of what to do and what not to do. So for me, this situation, the way we looked at it as a team is to look at the bigger goal and find a situation, find a solution to it. That's why whenever I talk about VUCA as a word, I believe it's a nine-pointer word. If any one of you plays Scrabble, I give it a 9 on 10. The one point definitely I'll keep for anxiety, but I think it's a nine-pointer word. It teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot how to be creative. It teaches you a lot how to be able to look beyond what you have been taught to look at. And it teaches you to take control of the situations that you are in and be completely a different person, or a person who's better than the version of yourself a minute before. So I give it a, as I said, a huge 9 on 10. um, when we're talking about all the situation, how can we not talk about what 2020 has unleashed upon us, and what has it taught us as team members and as leaders? There is a beautiful quote, as one of my fellow fellow industry member said, that as human race we realize success isn't a birthright for us anymore. Sometimes only surviving is also a huge success. Keeping on standing on your feet is a huge success. What this realized is, in March, when we entered into this situation, whatever skills we entered at into this situation didn't matter. Whatever digital maturity a organization was on, just had to pull up its socks and move to the next level, and move at a very very fast speed. For us, it was making the entire website of Big Bazaar function within 14 days. Huge amount of glitches, but we went live with it in 14 days. It was for us to be able to not say that the customer has to come to us. We reach out to the customer with any kind of intent, be it WhatsApp, be it walk-ins, be it the website or e-com order, be it marketplace. Whatever space they have to reach to us, we have to serve them. So skill doesn't matter. Your intent with capability does, and that takes you a long, long term. It does not matter. Your skills will keep on getting upgraded, updated. Outputs will be very different. What Sankalp puts and what Sanjana puts will be very different. It's your input with your right intent that would matter. People who changed gear in March are absolutely surviving and thriving now. People who entered the situation with what the skills that they had and are still with those skills are the one who are suffering the most. I'll give you a few examples from a few industry. How many of you know Sugar Cosmetics? Anyone heard of this brand called Sugar Cosmetics? Yeah.
Yes, we're getting a lot of yeses in the chat box.
Again, a bunch of great youngsters who have started it. And you know, when the entire industry went on a retrenchment mode, Sugar Cosmetics held on to its employees and its advisors, saying that when this situation will reverse, we should not be the one searching for people. We should be the ones who should have people ready with muscle memory who can get creative at that point of time. So no retrenchment. They held on to their people. They bleeded, but they held on to their people. Look at Unilever, what they did when we entered into this situation. They took one for the team. They said, "कोई भी sanitizer हो, कोई भी साबुन हो, please wash your hands. You don't need a life boy to do that. That's absolutely not required. Whatever soap, whatever sanitizer you are getting in hand, make sure you are getting it done. That's the intent. That's the bigger objective." Um, Large scale changes happen in very very small time. We saw this back in demonetization, how suddenly the payment gateways, online payment gateways, found a huge acceptance. And who thought 1.3 billion people will suddenly within 8 9 months period will be moving around masked and will be washing their hands every day? These are large changes. When we say large changes happen over large period of time, incorrect. Large changes happen within small period of time, and this is something that individually also all of us have realized. And these are points to be actually pondered and to be learned from. And hence, I say that when we look at this situation, what I understand, what you search for when you say VUCA is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, I would say that actually it gave us vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. And all of us who actually are in any kind of place, not only a leader, any kind of employee, or any kind of space, or any kind of business, we are just a facilitator for the bigger objective to be attained. And that's precisely why there are few learnings that this situation has put, or as I said, or any situation in our given condition has built, is always build resilience. Building resilience is one of the primary things that you can do in any conditions. You have to build resilience. You just have to be at it. Don't try the same tricks again and again. Try newer tricks, but you have to be at it. You have to have spare resources for rapid action. That day, if I did not have two of my best minds on the campaign working on it, we could not have rapidly found a plan B and figured out what is it that we would be able to let go, what is it that we should be able to hold back. Um, Clarify the objective. It is not, if it is not clear, clarify it again and again and again. At 2 a.m. in the night, my two team members and I were sitting and figuring out how does the match look like, how does the gross margin is going to get impacted. If the objective was not clear at the first time, realign, 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 time and again. Innovate and improvise, we did that. I need not tell you again what we did, how we did. And finally, as leaders, this is one of the best lessons learned, that please always keep the next one who's going to take your step, take your place. Be prepared with it. If not 100%, make sure that that person is 60%, 70% ready to leapfrog into the actual bigger role when the need be. So yeah, that's me, guys. Thank you so much for listening so patiently, and not a single question. But now I'll open the house for any questions that I can get. I was so clear. Sanjana, are we getting any question? Do you want to collate it, input it, or people? There is one I see.
So there is one question, ma'am. They asking, how can we be ready if we aren't aware about the uncertainty, because it just
Oh,
takes
that's
us by
precisely why.
surprise.
What? Okay. May I know the name of the person who was asked? It just is easier.
This is from Sankalp.
Sankalp, hi. So, You will never be ready for an uncertain situation. I was listening to one of the podcasts in which there is a retired colonel who was basically trying to make us understand how do the commandos work. Commandos are never prepared for a situation 100%. They are trained to be prepared for that situation. You would never know. And when the rubber meets the road, you never know how is it's going to take off. But no situation prepares you for, as I heard him say, the first contact with the enemy. It never prepares you, never prepares you. What you can do, as I kept on mentioning, is your muscle memory is going to come in place. You cannot go and start learning the basics once you start getting into a situation, right? As I mentioned, you just need to know the direction in general. You will move your gears here or there, but you should know that this is where the direction is, and this is how I should be reacting. Your reaction might not be right 100%, but if it falls around 50%, at least there is progress.
Thank you, ma'am, for your response. There's another question from Komal. She asks, how do you measure the success of the campaign? How do you
Okay.
attribute how much of the sales were driven by the campaign?
Okay, Komal, that's a very basic question. Every campaign has a very different objective. Every business has a very different objective. So, for example, one of my campaigns actually had an agenda of getting offline to online business. So, online to offline business. So, I actually had to reach out to maximum number reach. The reach had to be maximized on online, and I had to get the people into the store, because that's what where my maximum 95% of my sale happened. How do I do it? Generally, if you see, I actually will see the coupon and I will ask Komal, if you have to redeem this coupon, please walk into the store. So you will walk into the store. So that might be a business objective, as simple as that. As I put, Buffalo had a very clear business objective. 35% of the sale that week we go ahead, go live. So if you're going on live on Monday, by Sunday sales, when Sunday sales end, I should see Buffalo going from 10 crore to 13.5 crore. So that's all that you have as a clear objective. Some objective might be long term, like for example, here we had a two pronged approach also. Getting Varun be the face of Buffalo. Why? Because we wanted the Buffalo target customer to resonate with the face that we were trying to, and that's exactly the face that we were trying to figure out. Yeah.
We have another question. Sushant asks, is uncertainty needed for some people as they want excitement and something new every day?
Oh, yes, Sushant, you nailed it right. There are people like me who definitely thrive in such conditions and will love to be on the fire, which is not very necessarily very happy in most of the situation. But come on, this is what thrives, what drives you in life and how you thrive. And if that drives you, be my guest. Please do join a business or an environment which basically makes you run all the time. However, I think it is not incorrect to be on the other side of the table and actually be absolutely okay of for not getting the excitement in life and still be able to be happy. At the end of the day, what we put on table is should be able to make our life happy and exciting.
So, ma'am, another question from Fagun. He asks, would planning for different scenario proactively for situations to help handle uncertainty, would that help?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Falgun, that's exactly what we did. As I mentioned, instead of having one pre-production meeting, we had three. We thought that in our head we had covered all the points. Hell, there was time of pickup on the agenda, on the time action plan. What time is Prachi going to get picked up from the airport versus what time the director is going to get picked up from the airport? That was also on the radar. So think about this. We actually need to get prepared, as I keep on mentioning. A muscle memory has to be built, and then you have to have all the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and the scenario you're trying to actually reach. So you should have absolutely everything in place that gives you the maximum bandwidth of reacting. But there will be still be situation which will not cover this situation. So yes, absolutely, having a case point scenario will definitely help you.
So, ma'am, we have another question from Premchand. He asks, how do you allocate time and resources between working on a plan A versus working on a plan B that might never needed to be implemented?
Oh, okay. So the time and resources. So for the resources point, the resources are the same. They will have to only work on a plan A, plan B. There are no extra resources like you will have a king and a mantri. No, that doesn't work like that. You should put your primary objective on plan A. That's what you're gunning for. Plan B is your backup plan that needs to get activated if plan A does not work. So if you ask me, is plan B less important? No, plan B is not less important. If you do plan A to 80%, plan B will be on the backup. And from my experience, I think 30% of the time you might not even require plan B completely. But hey, there will be points from plan B which you can take up and implement in plan A. So it's not like plan A is completely eradicated and you put up plan B. There will be points that you take out plan from plan B. Say for example, plan A you have already implemented 50%. In our scenario, we had already implemented plan A 50%. What helped us that we took out points from plan B and also had to work on a plan C and plan D at that very point of time. And but the primary basis is plan A and plan B, in fact, from which you take out your inputs. I see some more questions floating.
Yes, ma'am, there's a question. Geetika asks, how should you adapt as a leader when leading a team during such times of VUCA?
Okay. As I mentioned, Gitika, I always think I always put a long term objective to individual. I see as I see the capability of the individual with the right intent, and then I put my time and energy to that individual. I don't necessarily go by skills. What you know today can be learned tomorrow if you have the right intent and the attitude to learn it. It should be. I put as finance students say, I work on future. I in fact, incidentally, I work for Future Group also, but I work on a future resource planning. In such times, I think primary situation for a leader is to act as a catalyst and be able to give the best to the team, which in general conditions also I believe we are all adult human beings with fertile brains. We should give the best of the situation, and then it's absolutely up to the individual how you pick up from those situation and move ahead or do not move ahead. So all we can act as a facilitator or as a catalyst.
So, ma'am, there's another question by Saurabh. He asks, which is more important, muscle memory or creative abilities?
I think both, Saurav. And people are not born with both the strengths. I have rarely seen people with both the strength. That does not mean people with muscle memory are better or people with creativity are better. Both have equal balance in a team. There are few people who can act on both, and those are very rare to find. Even if you have one as your strength, you should know how to work on that strength. That's all you need. And I know before I entered this meeting, Sankalp said there will be a lot of question, ma'am, as to how you have reached where you have reached, and people want to reach where you have reached in a very short period of time. Journeys are absolutely up to you. How you plan your journey is absolutely up to you. Don't follow me. I had my journey, and it might not be the best for you. At the end of the day, you should feel happy about going to work. If you're working from home, if you're not working, you are freelancing, you are in a job, absolutely up to you. At the end of the day, it should be mattering that you know your strengths, you work on your weaknesses, do not work on your weaknesses. What should make you happy is maybe a lot of money makes you happy, and it's not wrong. It's absolutely not wrong. So make sure whatever you are gunning for should make you happy. You have enough and more time to attain the nirvana stage, so don't worry about that. That will come. It should make you happy and productive.
Thank you, ma'am. So, there's another question by Devesh. He asks, what are the qualities that you look for in the next one? And do you look inside the organization or outside as well for that person?
Devesh, right?
Yes.
Bang on, Devesh. So what I look on in the next one, I'll be very honest. As I said, I look for individual with strong intent, and strong intent to grow, strong attitude to be in the right space. And when I say attitude, it's not that an attitude should match with mine. The attitude should match with the bigger objective of being in the business. I might dislike certain part of the individual, and the person might dislike my working style. Doesn't matter. If the person is capable to take the mantle, I think I will groom that person and be able to make sure that he or she is ready to take over if I drop out of the situation suddenly, like in a VUCA situation. Suddenly I go off the face of earth or go off the face of the business. The right answer to this is I've never ever looked at the right skill set ever to match. I definitely look for the right attitude and the capability of the individual. That comes into four for sure. Cool, Sanjana. Do we have any more questions?
Uh, no, ma'am, no more new questions in the chat.
Cool.
But if I may be allowed, I'll ask one
Yes,
question.
please go ahead. You
So,
have been really helpful. So you are entitled to two questions.
ma'am, during this time, there must be some new practices in the industry which must have emerged. So, which ones do you think are here for the long term and which were only applicable in this situation?
So, as I put, you know, a company just cannot look at making a business model one way, unidirectional anymore. Um, we learned it the harder way. Omni-channel is here to stay. Were we not there, we had been an omni-channel business since the past 5 years. In fact, we were one of the ones who started the entire Big Bazaar Direct 10 years back. But it never, it was too early for the situation, and it included a lot of radical changes in the consumer behavior. At this point of time, if any business is still thinking they can survive without taking this changed consumer behavior into cognizance, I think it's foolhardy. As a business leader, I can just say, as a business person, I can just say that looking at this entire situation as a long-term impact in change of behavior, not only urban consumer, even the rural consumer. I'll throw some numbers at you. Geo had actually made the internet penetration deep in the past 2 years. COVID has made it deeper. At this point of time, actively there are 55 crore users of internet in India, out of which 44, 45 crores have smartphones. So think about the the mammoth exploration that a brand can do on their phone only, on a consumer's phone only. And if you're not reaching a consumer on his or her mobile, then you're losing out 90% of the attention span of the consumer. And that's not a very wise business decision. And these are going to stay for sure. How you use it, how well you use it, is going to be on the brand. And I think there are enough and more tools which have been applied and which have been definitely developed. It's time for all businesses to actually invest in that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions that I can take up?
Um, so, no, ma'am, not in the chat box.
Cool. Cool. So, yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much for listening to me so patiently. And thank you for all the questions. It has been an extremely interactive session. And thanks, Sanjana, for taking this up and being able to close loop with the listeners and us. Yep.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for this lively session. I mean, I've taken a few notes as well. I believe they will be useful in some uncertain situations. And thanks, Sanjana, for narrating the questions as well. And thank you all guys for attending this session. We hope you find it useful someday in these situations.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day ahead. Bye. And a lovely weekend, too.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.